You're watching another episode of Health and Soulful Being. I am your host, Renee Angela, and I am here on location in the home of author and life coach, Minister Rodina Hope. How are you today?
Oh, Renee, I'm wonderful.
Thank you so very much for coming on to my show today and discussing a wonderful new book that you have just released.
Yes.
The Essence of Rest. And of course, after our busy holiday season, we've had Thanksgiving, we've had Christmas, we've had New Year's, and now in the new year, and the new day, and the new dawn, it's time for us to rest.
Absolutely.
And we're going to talk about the essence of rest. First of all, before we get into the book itself, The Essence of Rest, what a nice cover, you guys. Before we get into that, just give a little background about yourself and your work and your ministries and all of that wonderful stuff that you've been incorporating into the authorship that is you.
Wow. I'm a life coach, been a life coach for 14 years. That's long. And I started out working with delinquent boys.
Okay.
And so the ministry basically found me. So moving from there, got interested after the lightning strike, had a brain injury.
Mm-hmm.
So went from brain injury to brain study.
Okay.
Because I wanted to know ways to free myself from the disability or the traumas of being lightning strike and then other issues that came up in my life. Which brings me to, I'm a writer, been a writer all my life. Love writing. So that what brings me to the authorship.
All right. How fabulous. So here we are with a brand new book, The Essence of Rest, that you just came out with. And it's a very interesting concept because it is about resting in God.
Yes.
So kind of tell us more about this thing called The Essence of Rest. I first of all want to go through, in the beginning you go through the definition of rest. And,
Yes.
and how you get to that definition was very interesting because you start off going with Ray,
Yes.
or Re, or Ra, or however we pronounce it, R-E,
Yeah,
which
R-E is meaning God.
meaning God, yes.
It's an ancient prefix.
Yes, and then you go into EST, the Old English of EST, and in that it says the Old English EST means will, consent, favor, liberality, harmony, luxury.
Yes.
That one was amazing word and definition. And then you continue on, but putting it all together, you say that rest is the returning
Yes.
the soul back to that which is stored away, the previous condition of God's love.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So understanding the full dynamics of rest. Explain that to us. How do we come to that understanding of rest and resting in God?
Well, it goes back to the original concept of the seventh day. God rested. And before he rested, he said, he looked over his creation and he said, it is good. And so resting, he gave us favor, he gave us dominion, he gave us all these wonderful things for us to enjoy his original, to see his love. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people say we come to serve, yes, but we also come to experience the true essence, the love of God. So resting is the restoring of all his original intent for us as woman, being the last creation, and us as man, the human fullness of all togetherness.
Oh, goodness. Well, what are some of your own personal experiences that you've encountered in learning to rest with God and God's love?
Oh, wow.
Here's a couple examples.
Off the top of my head, I guess one that really comes to mind is when I really wanted to know what love was.
Okay.
I know it sounds really far-fetched, but I didn't believe I was loved.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think a lot of us feel that way. We don't often say it.
Yeah.
But I think we all come up with that question of what is love.
What is love? I mean, I read about it in the Bible. People talk about it.
Yeah.
But it seems to be this thing that's fleeting. It's
Right.
always, if you don't act a certain way, you're not in love, on love, or love.
Yeah.
And so I kind of longed for something that was different. That wasn't the same love I was reading about in the Bible. And so there was something in me wanting to look, when I looked at my children, I'm like, okay, all the traumas that are on top of me, it's hard for me to actually reach out and love my children because I didn't have that example of authentic love. I mean, I'm sure your parents love you in all kind of ways, but as far as an example, it wasn't there for me.
And what is your belief in what authentic love is?
Authentic love meaning that I'm giving me and accepting all of you, no matter how you act. No, I mean, yeah, you try to kill me, that's another story. I'm not trying to shift that love.
Oh, yeah, we gonna have to do something with that love. I would love you from afar.
You know,
you can be over there, and I love you.
I love you. Right, and so I just believe when I say authentic, there's no judgment behind it. There's no alternatives inside of it. There's no showboating, showcasing, any of that. And I try the judgments and yeah, absolutely. I just don't think that God intended that kind of love because He said, "Be fruitful, give all you have, and multiply." Not add, multiply that. So stack it on top of this, on top of it. And He gave us all these wonderful things. If you look around, and I didn't see none of that.
Okay.
And so I cried for days on end. And I know that sounds crazy, but every single day I cried. I know it was over 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Because I wanted to know what this thing called love was. And one day I saw a purple tree in our neighborhood. Been there forever, and I've never seen it. And I was out walking, and I looked up, and I was like, wow, a purple tree. And I know it's something that's simple, but it was the twisting point for me. And it was the turning point was like, wow, why didn't I see that tree? Well, you wasn't looking for it. I wasn't looking for it then, but it woke up God for me.
Okay.
And wow, He made this purple tree. And I was so asleep or so dead man walking that I didn't see the beautiful wonders that He has around us. And if you're looking for God, He's everywhere. And that was just my little sign that said, here I am, look at me here. You know?
Wow, yeah.
So that was my major...
A purple tree, guys. Tree. I'm telling you, I don't care what anybody says, God is an artist.
He is awesome. He's awesome.
He's an awesome artist.
Artist, yes. Creator.
Yeah.
Oh, just, yeah. True artist.
Can put together any combinations and always looks fantastic. Yeah. Picasso to the nth degree.
Yes.
So that's wonderful. In the book, going on in the book, as we're getting past the definition of rest, and also your writing and receiving from God, goes into this explanation of chaos.
Yes. And
how you spell chaos is different than how we spell chaos.
And when He spelled it for me, and I can I go back to my writings?
Yes.
The original writings came in 1982.
Okay.
And I was in a coma. And I wasn't privy to them. So I have only bits and pieces that they allowed me to see what these writings were. And they gave me these bunch of writings, and I'm like, where did they come from? Well, you wrote these in a coma. If I'm in a coma, how do I write? Well, my hand was writing, and they entertained that.
Okay.
And so it came to a poem, small, very small, just I don't know, you call it a poem, I guess it was a saying. It says, consumption overwhelms the body like confusion overwhelms the mind. So that was one of my, I was like, wow, what is that? And then it was another poem that came to me at another time. I was coming out of a coma. I was in a car wreck and came out of a coma, and I began to write in my sleep.
Okay.
So it went from comatose to sleep writing. And no, back that up. It came from something writing through me. Kind of odd. Something writing through me. So it's like 4 major poems that was written through me.
Okay.
And it was one to my soulmate. That was the name of it.
Okay.
And then one was the response. And then it was 2 others. That's in another book. But it was like, it scared me so bad.
That's kind of loud. we are.
Excuse us.
That's right. We're going to take a pause.
Commercial break.
Exactly.
How about we
Just a slight pause.
Just a slight pause. How about we turn it off?
There you go. Thank you.
Unless it magically turns back on.
I'm just afraid.
Like some of the writings.
Okay, so getting back to the writings.
Yes. Sorry about that. So it seemed like they came after traumatic experiences.
Okay.
And so leading back up to how I got to some of the major writings, the Book of Rest, is I cried for those 6 months. And I was praying out to God and crying out to God. And this just one particular day, I leave church and I'm just like, Lord, you don't get it. Who's willing to say that to God? Well, I was. You don't get it. You don't get it. You can't get it. You can't understand, and I can't speak it. So if I can't speak it, you can't get it. Give me a way that I can speak it to you.
Okay.
And I'm crying and I'm praying, and then so he said, begin to write. So he wrote me. And when he wrote me, it scared me so bad. I did it for a long time. But then he began to write in my sleep because I couldn't handle the awakeness. And so these.
And sometimes you in the awakeness you kind of are going through these thoughts of the ego.
Am I crazy?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And says, okay, you're crazy. This is not happening. This is not real.
And I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
I'm not worthy for God to pause and talk to me.
Right.
I'm not worthy to have that in church, out of church experience.
Yes.
You know, and it's like you're in church and you speak in tongues and all this, and it scared the heck out of me for there. And then, but to do that and have that God experience inside my home, now I do move into the ego saying, okay, what was that? Okay, did your mind split?
Right.
Okay, are you bipolar? Are you schizophrenic?
Yeah.
Are you paranoid? Or, you know, all these crazy isms came to mind. So I'm like, oh no, I gotta hide this.
Well, you know, it's symptomatic of our society. And I remember just having a conversation a few days ago with my dad. We were watching Ancient Aliens on History Channel. And so I was telling my dad that how in the ancient days, I feel like that the ancients were a lot more intelligent than us, because back in those times, they didn't call people schizophrenic, bipolar, autistic, ADHD. They didn't call people, they called them prophets.
Right.
You know,
I mean, in the ancient times, though, they
called them oracles.
those things. Yes.
You know, so, and then now we're just like that, we're crazy.
Because we have a box and what perfection looks like or normality looks like, and if you're anything outside of that box, and it's sad to say it comes from history with Christianity, and people don't necessarily want to live up to that. But once religion comes in and take a force, and then we say, okay, the witch, the Dark Ages came through, and people were messing with the elements and stuff like that. Somewhere, somebody decided that wasn't cool anymore.
Right.
That
They're
wasn't
no longer seers or
and
visionaries.
Yeah. Because it had to be in our church. It had to put it in a church so somebody can control it.
Right.
But the ancients, they knew that you were communing with the earth. You were communing with the sun, with the moon, with the wind, with the stars. With everything was one. We were one. So if you were fragmented, that means I had to be fragmented. And I don't think they lived like that. They didn't live at pointing the finger.
Right.
And we live at pointing the finger. Our society, Western society.
Yes.
I can say that out loud. Western society.
Western society.
You go overseas, some places don't deal with you like that. They don't try to fragment your brain, fragment a 2-month-old's brain. Come on now.
Exactly.
Allow.
And call them a sociopath because they did
2 months.
Yes, and did this one little thing, so that makes them branded and marked for the rest of their lives.
But it's increase. It's money.
Yes.
It's money driven. So
it is. It's money.
Back then it was spirit driven. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So getting back to the words of chaos and the writing. So when God came to you and wrote about chaos,
yes,
it was spelled CAOS.
Yes, and I was like, okay, he can't spell it. My ignorance is overpowering his ability to write through me. You know, and so I was
once
like,
again the ego takes over.
Kicks in, and I was like, oh my God, okay, let me look this up. there was another word that came before that I didn't even understand that word, and I'm like, I don't understand this word. So it didn't come out of, that's when I realized the words are not coming from me, because he started writing different languages, and I'm like, I don't know this language, you know, and so, or this word, and so I had to use my intellect. That's when it did kick in that, okay, this is not about you because you don't know these words.
Right.
He, you know, came to prove to me first that this is not from me, because I didn't know the words, so I had to look it up. And same with chaos. I went to look up the ancient element of chaos, and it kept coming into Spanish. But I kept saying, first I said translate, then I said the ancient word chaos, and I came up with it to be a real word.
All right.
But however, he gave me a different definition as well.
And it says, pertaining to chaos, it is the outer realm of knowing, as truth is the inner.
Yes.
It is the circumference of the finite, as wisdom is the nuclei of the truth of knowing.
Yes.
And you have a great little diagram, which you probably can't see
on there.
but it has truth of knowing on as the nucleus, and in wisdom, and in chaos, in this kind of unformed space.
Yes.
And normally, what I thought was really interesting about this is that my mind would have thought of chaos being the dark abyss or the dark matter instead of the light matter that's empty. So how did that come up?
Well, some people think that black is full, white is empty. But people see it different. They see it backwards. They think that black is emptiness. Black is condensed fullness, you know. And so white, when the palette is white, it's empty. It's taken away of color. It's void.
Right.
And so it's void of order, because there's color there. That's why they named it.
Yes.
You know, so if it's not transparent, see through the nothingness. Even if you see through the nothingness, once you shine a light through it, you see the particles floating.
Right, exactly. It's
so
like a crystal where you
see,
if you shine light on a crystal, then it will bend and
you can see what's really
see all the colors of the rainbow.
Yeah. So it's I guess more on that concept versus black is empty, black is dark, black is chaos, because you can't figure out anything. But no, it's totally opposite of that.
Okay. And let's see, in the midst of chaos, you also talk about fragmented truth.
Yes.
And so what is fragmented truth?
Fragmented truth really deals with your senses and your concepts, because just like in the book, it talks about how your eye can only see a certain part of truth, as well as your taste, as well as your hearing. You can only hear after it's been filtered, because it's filtered through your hearing, it's filtered through your bones, through your flesh, and all those things, and the vibration that come into it. So it's fragmented. So pretty much on that kind of concept.
Okay, wonderful. Let's see, as we continue on through the Book of Rest,
yes,
you start talking about misconceptions.
Yes.
And this part of the book is called Misconceptions Upon the Table of Mankind.
Yes.
Did you come up with this title, or was it
No, that was given to me as well. Actually, this came in a pouring. I was at work.
Oh, okay.
And I had learned that when information come, I just have to be ready. I said, be always ready.
Yeah.
So everywhere I go, I have a tablet or some type of paper and pen.
Excuse me. Thank you.
So I
guess my brain could not handle that
one. That's okay.
Probably because I need to really be talking the real truth as we talk about fragmented truth. She's not the only one who has received, and I have talked about receiving myself. So I guess I'm here to also reveal my truth. If you have not listened to my radio show,
yes,
on WEFT, then yes, and matter of fact, she was one of the conduits that helped me channel.
I hate to say channel.
Well, I know, because
the only reason why
I
hate to say channel is because
they
people use it as a means of manipulating something.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
That's true.
So I think it was more of
I think it's
helping you be open. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
It was
Just
a
being
freedom.
opening.
Yes.
And allowing yourself to be still.
Which I
Be
don't.
still enough to listen to what is being said.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And see that which is rendered useless, communion, is the concept that I had dog earmarked.
Yes.
Because I just was in love with this whole concept of communion. And you say man has forgotten how to commune with God, with the God in which he serves.
Yes.
And what do you
It's a
think
difference because there's this big God, and then there's the little God that they serve. I hate to say it like that. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
But they concentrate on the Son, and they say it's all one.
Right.
You know, but in that whole truthness of the wholeness of togetherness, the wholeness of oneness, it is.
Yes.
But we've forgotten the fullness of God. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
The grandioseness of God. And
They're all encompassing.
Yes.
Yes.
And so, yeah. The God that they serve, they put him, he's on a pedestal, yes he is. He's higher and above and he's to be exalted, yes he is. But at the same time, there's a link that we were born with. There's a knowing that we were born with. And so to separate ourselves out of whatever type fear, because that's the only way for separation to show up,
Right.
is there was this certain type of fear or reverence, ununderstood and misunderstood reverence. So communion was taken to the side way of worship, if I can say that. Logically say that.
Explain a little bit more.
Okay. Well, for me and you to commune, we sit and we exchange.
Right.
Now, to worship, there is no exchange. You see what I'm saying? We kind of cut the window for the exchange process. Only the grand or the greats or the prophets or the diviners or, you know, those worthy, the saints and the ministers and the monks and all those, bless everybody. We can accept that. But, religion has taken that link that me and you can have that one-on-one with God, and he can actually exchange something. Give me something outside of external gifts. You know, we all, God help me, God help me, Lord please help me, give me, I want, can you, but not, wow, did you see that, Lord? Well, wow, you're amazing, God. Oh my God, I hear you. Did you know what I'm saying? Or Lord, tell me. Are you scared to say that one? Lord, tell me, show me, guide me.
I don't even say that anymore. Because I just get dumped.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to show you, bam. I'm going to make you fall out at the Oprah show.
Not that I'm going to show you this perfect, wonderful, amazing tree that make, or when you're talking
on the show. There we go. That's my showing.
Right. So,
He showed up, y'all. I can't lie about that. He showed up.
he does. But you were willing to allow him to show up.
Absolutely.
In the seriousness of it.
Right. In all of our joking.
Yeah. But that seriousness too.
Yes.
And all of that realness, very few allow him to show up. And I remember the first time I was talking to him, I was like, okay, Lord, I'm reading in about Armageddon. And I'm like, okay, wow, this is amazing. It's going to be this all oneness war. The demons and the men or the people who are on their side, and these angels and the people who are on their side. Well, I'm like, okay, let's put logic in order. Excuse me. Hello. I don't think I know. I'm really sure that Armageddon is not close. This is how I know. If an angel veil itself right here, right now, I'm going out. He said, faint not, I'm going to faint. I'm going to faint. End of story. How many of us is not going to faint? Come on.
At a 10-foot something.
13 feet.
Yeah,
13, 27 feet.
With a sword.
Big. With a shield and arm. No. I need to be ready. let this veil down so I can be ready. I don't care about anybody else because I'm only accountable for me.
Right.
But I'm reading this and I'm like, okay, yeah, about that there. It doesn't make sense to me because I know what I'm going to do. And I'm only accountable for what I'm going to do.
Right.
So can you help me not do this thing? And I meant that with all that was in me because I really signed up for this thing, being on God's side, being his bride, being his child, being him, allowing him to be my father, being his one friend. With him, his friend. Yes. And what does that mean? I realize he's my father. Okay. Wow. I want to lay at his feet sometimes. I want to cry on his shoulder sometimes. And it was a lot for me. It was backwards. I didn't cry on his shoulder, but I talked to him about all the good things. You know, and it's like, okay. He said to me, what am I, chopped liver? I was like, what do you mean? You know, and so I had to really understand the fullness of what he was. Those tears are his. Those laughters are his. Those creativity are his. Everything I am is his. He is just, he's living through me, loving through me, flowing through me, evolving through me, with me. And I just loved, when I realized that, I was like, wow, I want to live. I want to live. I want to see what you got. Because I was seeking death. And I was seeking death because I didn't have the willpower to live this life. In all the scars and all the traumas and all the abuse that I was enduring, I was convinced I was in hell.
And you know what I think a lot of people do, and I think that's why a lot of religions, or shall I say in Christianity, that I hear is so revered of this afterlife, wanting to go to the afterlife and the
heaven.
The heaven. And so you miss the whole purpose of being here on this physical space called Earth. Yes. And one of the things I always tell people is, when you've gone through something like breast cancer or some truly traumatic event in life, I realized that it takes a lot more courage to live than it does
to die.
Absolutely. So, you know, because dying is inevitable, we're going to do it. But for me to be suffering here on this planet while waiting for the death to come so I can be with God in the everlasting life, you know, why can't I be with God now?
Because you can.
And I can't.
And you can't.
Exactly.
But what
you can.
The trigger for me, I'm glad you said that, because Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is found within. It's like a light bulb went on. Oh my God. How many people who have died missed that?
Yes.
Seeking heaven after life, but he said heaven was found within. So I'm like, that don't add up.
Right.
If you said, yes, there's going to be a time when heaven and earth meet itself. There's going to be a time when there is a paradise once more. I believe those things. However, I believe that parable, clue, whatever you want to call it, the realisticness, hint, all these things that he was saying this thing, and I'm like, oh my God, it's in here. God said, I will hide my word in here in the last days. So I'm like, oh my God, I need to go in here and find where heaven is. I need to go in here and find where God's word is.
Yes.
Those are the things that bring us to rest.
Exactly. And the misconceptions. Because you talk about, you know, so much of that just going within.
Yes.
And finding all of that, finding the faith, finding yourself.
Yes.
And not only with the concepts, but in another one of your books, The Secret Keys to Inner Freedom, you really talk about a lot about how to go within and find that that sense of self.
This is one of my new books as well.
Exactly. So
like, what is that?
We're gonna morph into this in just a few minutes. I was going ahead of myself.
Yes.
So as we are finishing up in rest, you go through all of these definitions that God has given you, and you actually name God.
Yes.
There is a name of God in here, and should we reveal His name? Should we? Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
That's His name, and is true.
Yes. So in the truth of the wisdom of God and the name of God, it has
Anu.
come. Anu.
Anu.
And for those of you who are not aware of Anu, go back.
To the first God of afar, the land of afar,
The
not
land-
Samaria,
Yes.
not all these other thing and Kemet.
Yes.
Go to the first, and the first
the very
is
first.
called afar.
Yes. And the
Yes.
whole concept. And ancient Samaria does have the God Anu. And
Anu.
so the Sumerian texts are some of the oldest texts
Yes.
out there that.
And mind you, can
we're
I put
able to
this out?
decipher. Yes.
Hold, please.
Yes.
I had no idea, no training, no concept. Actually, she the one showed me who, and this other guy.
Type A personality that
Yeah.
I am.
This name came to me, and actually two,
Yeah.
men.
Which we
the
always
son.
hear.
We always hear, but I didn't
In
realize.
Jesus' name, amen.
And so, as I was reading in the Bible, every single time it says "in Jesus' name:" colon. Now, what does a colon mean?
A colon.
Listing.
Yes.
So I was like, oh my God. And he had already come to me.
Yeah.
Amen. Anu had already come to me. And then when I saw it in the Bible, excuse me, this is not a Bible. In the Bible, I was like, oh, we miss it. We miss it. We miss him. And Jesus, meaning I am,
Yes.
you know, that I am walked.
Yes.
So it's like, oh my God. And then when you showed it to me, and he kept saying the God of afar, and you know,
From the land
from
of
the land of afar, I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so I'm thinking afar off.
Yes, and most people I think do get that concept, especially when
But
they're
there was
reading in the
actually
Bible.
the original land.
Yeah, there is a land of
Oh.
afar.
People of afar are still here,
Yes.
even though they're like probably not even 1,000 strong.
Yeah, it's not very many
indigenous
afar
people. There is a land of afar, which
Yes.
was the first land ever.
Yes.
People, Eve, yeah, I believe.
Yes.
And thank you for showing me that.
Well, thank you for coming up with rest.